I hope this podcast can inspire you to always dream big and make it your reality. I am your host, Jess Williamson, a serial entrepreneur and business coach. And today's episode, I am going to be sharing with you the story and the journey behind leaving my full-time job. But before we begin, I want to remind you to subscribe because there will be a new episode every Thursday, and I have some exciting episodes to come up. So hit that subscribe button now, and you'll be notified when there is a new episode. I am going to share with you, as I said, the story and the lessons gained from taking the leap and leaving my full-time job back in 2017, which that sounds like a long, long time ago. Now that I'm saying it, it is now 2021. So doing the maths, that's about 4 years ago that I took the leap into being self-employed and leaving my full-time job and never looking back. Earlier in this year, I posted a reel onto Instagram about how I actually quit my full-time job at 22 years old, and now I'm earning more in a month than I did in my full-time job for a whole year. And I keep getting messages from people saying, oh my gosh, I want to be part of this. What are you selling? And I'm thinking, well, I'm not actually selling anything. I just wanted to share my journey, but it probably does sound like a bit of a network marketing strategy. But the truth is, it takes 5 years of hard work. It takes a lot of perseverance. It takes a lot of tears and a lot of winging it and making up along the way. It's not easy. And I know my reel on Instagram makes it look easy. You know, I'm kind of just sitting at my desk, close the computer and voila, it's like magic. But that's not reality. That's a 15-second snippet of what it really took. Often people will send me messages and look at where I am now in my business, financial freedom, time freedom. I get to have every Friday off and the weekends completely off from work. If you've listened to some previous episodes, you'd know that already. And I get to do something that I love every day. But guess what? I didn't just wake up one day and suddenly appear here. Like, if you saw me 5 years ago, I am a different person. And that is a result of a ton of trial and error, a ton of things going wrong, shit hitting the fan, a ton of personal growth and development. I've invested a ton of money and time into personal growth, into my business growth, and everything in between. So no, I didn't just wake up one day and suddenly appear here. So that's why today I wanted to talk to you about my journey on leaving my full-time job, growing 5 businesses in the last 5 years. And this is because I'm finding that so many people are looking for the easy answer. They're looking for, how can I quit my full-time job, have a holiday the rest of my life, which can definitely be done. Anything is possible, but it's not going to happen overnight. And I didn't start my business and then quit my job a week later. It took me a whole year of working full-time, adrenal fatigue, anxiety. Everything came up in that year because I did not have a break. Not one break, not one day where I wasn't working on my business, which is a problem in itself. And I'm going to share with you that story. So working full time whilst running a ever fast growing business meant that I was severely burnt out. I ended up with adrenal fatigue at the end of that 1 year mark because, firstly, I wasn't eating properly. I was just grabbing what I could get and always on the go. I wasn't taking care of myself, and I definitely wasn't exercising or doing anything, even on the weekends, other than working. So my brain wasn't getting a break, but also my physical body was under a lot of stress because I wasn't eating properly. I wasn't nourishing myself to operate to the best of my abilities, and I wasn't exercising either. So all of these things are a result of my actions, but all of these things added up to get me to that state of being super burnt out and having adrenal fatigue. So I would definitely not recommend you do this. In order to grow your business, there isn't a better way to do it. But that's what I help my clients work through, is how can they get to their goals without having to endure the burnout and hitting rock bottom to get there. And I am saying that there is no magic wand to success, but you don't have to go to the extremes that I did to make it happen. If I had a mentor or coach at that time, I probably would have got to my goals a lot sooner and avoided that, but I was figuring everything out for myself. And so it took me a whole year. It took me hitting that rock bottom before I thought, I need to make a change. So hopefully by sharing my journey, you might be able to relate. Maybe you're there now. Maybe you're currently in that burnt out state and you're thinking, there must be a better way. Or maybe you can take some lessons away from it. Things not to do and things maybe you could do as well. But here's my story on how I actually quit my full-time job and what that journey was like. Let me just preface this with the fact that, firstly, not everyone has to quit their job. Maybe you love working in your job and you want your business just to be more of a hobby on the side. But if you're listening to this podcast, I'm probably anticipating that's not the case. And you will probably be looking to quit your job and make your business something that is sustainable for your lifestyle. But I just wanted to preface it with the fact that I'm not saying everyone needs to quit their job, because that's not everyone's journey. But I also wanted to let you know that by currently working or having other obligations right now does not mean you get to half-ass your business because you're working full-time. You can still put in a ton of effort and put your time into the right things to get results. It doesn't mean that you need to quit your job to be able to run a business. No, because like I said, I ran my business for the whole first year whilst working full-time. But the key is figuring out what it is that you want first. Don't go away and just say, look, I'm going to quit my job because Jess did it and that's what she said on her podcast. I want you to figure out what is your truth. So for me, my truth at that time was sacrificing fun on the weekends. It meant sacrificing hanging out with my friends and my boyfriend at certain times. It meant sacrificing my health a little bit, which is not something I recommend at all, but that's where I was prioritizing my time. And so when people come to me and say, I'm working full time, I can't invest in learning this new thing, or I can't grow my business because I'm working full time, then I call bullshit. Because of what I want to say right now is that it is all about your priorities being elsewhere. Look, if your priorities aren't in your business, great, no worries. Spend your time and energy elsewhere. But if your priorities are in your business, then we can make this happen. Just be honest with yourself and ask yourself, where are my priorities currently? If your priorities are in growing your business, then you can do it. However, there will be a little bit of a cap. You can still hit your goals. You can still make it happen. However, I don't recommend sacrificing all other areas of your life to do that. And so hopefully this episode can inspire you to just see what is possible for you. When I quit my job after that year, after hitting rock bottom, the first month of working full-time in my business, the business grew 500% in the 1 month of quitting my job. That is simply because I could be a better me. I could allow for rest. I could take care of myself. And my focus was completely in the business. Plus, I had a bunch more time that I didn't have to go to my full-time job as well. Some of my clients right now, my one-on-one coaching clients, some of them are doing 20 to 30K months whilst working full-time and having kids to look after as well. So often it's about working smarter, not harder. But if others are out there doing it, then you can too. When I was looking to leave my full-time job, I was working full-time and it would take me a 1 hour commute each way. 1 hour sitting in the car doing absolutely nothing twice a day. that's 10 hours a week. That's a lot of hours just in the car to get to this job that I wasn't really enjoying. So a daily thought to myself was that pretty much as soon as I left home, I hit the peak hour traffic. And I was in that peak hour traffic for the whole hour getting there. It wasn't like only on the freeway. It was literally from my doorstep to the office. And so when I left my home, I would have this daily thought to myself. As I sat in the traffic, I would think, well, it's about 2 minutes back to home if I turn around now, or 58 more minutes to that job that I wasn't really enjoying at the time. And so I'm sure many of you can understand when you're busy and when you're stressed, spending 58 minutes more in the car, not being able to reply to emails, not being able to check all of the messages that you know are coming through in that time, not being able to handle the shit that's hit the fan overnight because most of my customers were in the USA. That all just adds an extra level of anxiety. It's like someone holding you down with a straitjacket while you're trying to, grab something that you really, really want. So for me, when I'm stressed, I like to take action on things right away so that they can be removed from my list and I can be more relaxed. But I had to sit there for a whole hour, pretty much in my eyes wasting time, when I could be actioning these urgent things that really stressed me out. Plus, not to mention the peak hour traffic. Who really loves peak hour traffic? Probably no one. But before the daily commute had even begun, I had spent the whole morning quickly packing the orders to take with me to work. So the commute wasn't just 1 hour of my day each way, might I add. It was an hour that built up anxiety because I couldn't actually action the things that mattered most to me and the things that I really cared about. Also, when things were going wrong or needed to be fixed in your own business, I was the only one who could sort it out. I did not have a team. I did not have any assistance. I didn't have anyone helping me out at that point. So the pressure was even more so because I was the only one who could do it at that time. I hope that paints a little bit of a picture. It was a pretty stressful situation, just the commute alone. And then I would spend an 8-hour workday at a job that I would much rather be at home working on my business. So once I did get to my job, I wasn't fully present because I knew I wanted to be somewhere else. And quite often I would have to, in inverted commas, pop out every now and then to take phone calls and try and reply to things on my phone. So I had way too many toilet breaks for a healthy, normal operating person. But that was the one moment of peace. And as I've already explained, if I don't action things right away, it causes me stress. And I know some people go the opposite way and don't do anything when they're stressed. But for me, that's how I operated. So I had to action it. It would just eat me alive and add to already, adrenal fatigue, the anxiety, all of these things I was already feeling. So I had a lot of toilet breaks and it was just a really challenging time for me because everything was not ideal. I mean, I wasn't prioritizing myself whatsoever. I was going somewhere that I wasn't enjoying as much. And I had the added stress and anxiety of the drive and the goals that I had in my own business not getting done. So once I'd packed all the orders and I had driven an hour to work, then I would rush to take all the packages with me on my lunch break and run up to the post office, which almost took the entirety of my lunch break. It was probably 15, 20-minute walk each way. And then once I got to the post office, I had to wait in line and my lunch break was only an hour. So that probably ate up at least 50 minutes of my lunch break in itself. So quite often I would either have to rush my lunch or then go back and eat it at my desk or eat it while I was running. But I couldn't hold all the packages and my lunch and eat all at the same time. So you can see where I was really prioritizing the business. And look, I know that's a decision that I made. I do not recommend you don't eat properly or you prioritize that over everything else. I'm just wanting to give you a little bit of a window into where I was at, because people look at where I'm at now and see me having Fridays scheduled off, my weekends completely off and mostly off of social media. I have built up my businesses over the last 5 years to become mostly automated or outsourced or systemized so that I can do that. And running multiple businesses at once, it allows me to do that. But it didn't all start there. So now you've got a bit more of a picture in your head. Now imagine that every day for a whole year. And in the meantime, you have likely heard the story about how I went to New York Fashion Week. This was within the first 6 months of launching my business. So yes, I was still working full time when I jetted off to New York Fashion Week to showcase my brand in New York. Guess what? I had no annual leave. And this is a whole nother story for another day about how I made that happen and New York Fashion Week. But I had no annual leave either. So I had to make up something. And at the time, I thought my boss had no idea. No one at work had ever said anything to me apart from my couple of friends that knew well and good what I was doing. No one knew from what I thought. And when the day finally came that I did hand in my resignation, my boss says, I knew all along. I saw you on the news when you were at New York Fashion Week. So that just blew my cover completely. But hey, they didn't say anything. So, no water off my back at all. Now that I've explained all of that, some of you are likely thinking, oh my gosh, this is me right now. Maybe you're feeling burnt out. Maybe you're just feeling so passionate about your business and you're ready to take the leap, but there's something holding you back. I always said to myself, when I'm earning the same amount of revenue as my full-time job, which at the time was nothing, then I would be able to quit. All I had to do, this was just a rule that I made up myself, right? There is no one that says you must earn the same amount as your full-time job in your business to be able to quit. It's almost a catch-22. Some of my clients are earning way more in their businesses than they are in their full-time job, and they're still there. So there's something holding them back. But for me, I wrote this rule. Who knows why? Who knows where from? But at the time, I had not done all of my personal development. I did not have a coach or anyone questioning this or helping me question this, but my rule was when I'm earning the same amount of revenue in my business as I was getting from my full-time job, which, as I said, was absolutely minuscule, then I'll be able to quit. But after a whole year of this hustle, I still wasn't there. I still wasn't hitting that number that I thought I had to hit to be able to quit. I was not having fun at all, and the stress levels were so high, it was just getting too much for me to handle. So I went to a Women in Business event on International Women's Day in probably 2017, and in order to just go to that International Women's Day event, which was on a work day, might I add, I had to pretend that I had yet another doctor's appointment just to make it happen, which I had a lot of doctor's appointments as well. They probably thought I had a lot of things wrong with me and my job. But again, you can see how I was prioritizing that, right? So I still made these things happen. So after that event, I went there for the morning. Something just clicked. Being surrounded by so many other incredible women, I just thought to myself, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this juggle, this hustle, this burnout. And I remember that feeling where I had to rush off. I had to leave straight away, and everyone else got to stay at this event, mingle, have fun, enjoy their morning. I had this anxiety around the fact that, oh my gosh, I'm so late. I had to get to work. And that just clicked something for me that I physically cannot do this anymore. And so in that moment, I decided that's it for me. I'm going to quit and I'm going to give this a red hot go. I asked myself, really, what is the worst can happen if I quit my job and give this business a really red hot crack? What is the worst that can happen? Probably not much. Like, the truth is, until that day, I'd never asked myself this. I don't think I had ever actually consciously thought, why not? Why do I have to hit this figure or this rule that I just made up myself? Why not take the leap? Why am I staying here and working somewhere that I'm really not enjoying? It's not serving me at all. And now that I think back on it, it's probably just what I thought I should do, what society says I should do, right? I went to uni, I got the job, and there I was. I wasn't enjoying it at all. There really wasn't anything left to think about. So I often ask my one-on-one coaching clients questions like this, and most of the time they hadn't really thought about it either. If I had a coach back then, I probably would have quit my job way earlier. I definitely would have not hit that burnout and adrenal fatigue, and I would have been happier along the journey. But hey, I'm learning. I took it as a learning opportunity, and now I can help my clients avoid that as well. So you might have a goal or a dream, but what are you actually doing about it? Are you putting these rules around it that only you are creating for yourself? Just have a think about it for a minute. The worst that could happen was that I would fail. The business would fail. But the only way that I could really fail is if I gave up. I was ready to do whatever it took to make it a success. If I didn't know something, I would seek the information or find someone who knew. I was driven and ready to persevere through it all. If I had survived 1 year of massive growth whilst working full time, then I sure as hell could do it with an extra 50 hours per week. But none of these thoughts actually crossed my mind at the time. It would have been amazing if I had a coach or someone to teach me these valuable lessons, but I was doing it all on my own. If the business did happen to fail, I said to myself at the time, I wasn't, in a mindset that I couldn't fail. So if the business did happen to fail, at the time, I said, if that happens, I'll go out and get another job. We often put so much pressure on ourselves, but you can get another job if you decide business isn't right for you. I know, yes, it might be hard finding a job, but there are jobs out there. And at the time, there was a McDonald's across the road from the office that I worked at. And that was looking way more appetizing, pardon the pun, but to get a job there at McDonald's than in my current situation at the time. So I was in the mindset of, well, any job is better than hustling away at this job that is taking so much of my mental capacity, my health, and all of that, and taking me away from my business. So I thought, what is the worst that can happen if I quit my job and give this business a red hot go? I wasn't going to stay at this job for the rest of my life anyway, so why do we put so much pressure on ourselves to make it as if this is the decision that we're making for the rest of our lives? As soon as I shifted that mindset around what really is the worst that can happen, and if it doesn't work out, I'll get a different job. So by shifting my mindset, I took the leap. I handed in my resignation and I finished my 4 weeks notice period and entered into self-employed waters and never looked back. Now, I'm sharing this as my own personal experience. Everyone else has their own situations, circumstances, and things like that. But I just wanted to share this to show you that when you shift your mindset, anything can be possible. But here's the truth. My business never would have been where it is today if I never took that leap 4 years ago. I'm now 5 years into my business journey. I only wish I probably did it earlier, but that was part of my journey and part of my learning and all part of the process. So there was a reason for that. But we seem to put so much pressure on ourselves to make sure that we're killing it. We've ticked all of our boxes. We're doing, all of these things before we let ourselves take a risk, take a leap. But here's the thing. If you quit your job, then you're going to have more extra motivation, firstly, because you've got that extra kick up the butt to actually make your business happen because you don't have a safety net anymore. And secondly, you've got more time and more focus to spend on your business, which is the most important part. Because when your focus is elsewhere, you won't get the results you hope for. Just as an example, within the first month of me quitting my job, I grew my business at eSwimwear 500%. In just that 1 month of quitting, 500% growth. Since then, it's grown and grown, and now we have warehouses globally and our customer base is amazing. But that's my journey, in a nutshell, to quitting my job. So all in all, that's my story I wanted to share with you on my journey to quitting my full-time job. Firstly, it certainly did not happen overnight. Secondly, it definitely was not easy, but I have never looked back. Now I get to help my one-on-one coaching clients and my Dreamers and Doers members through their own challenges so that they don't end up with adrenal fatigue and they don't have to wait a whole year if they don't have to do whatever it is that they are hoping to do. So if you can take one thing away from this, it's knowing that when you are clear on your goals, anything truly is possible. But so often we don't stop to ask ourselves, what is it that I really want? Am I creating these rules, or is that actually reality? I didn't really have any reason that I had to stay at that job for a whole year. I just never actually stopped and asked myself. I hope that's helped and inspired you. If you would like help in making your wildest dreams possible, I do have a few coaching slots opening soon, so you can apply for a free discovery call with me via my website, and the link will be in the show notes as well, so check it out. But with my one-on-one coaching, you get to work super closely with me to help you and guide you in the right direction towards your goals, whatever they might be. You may not even know exactly what your goals are right now, but that is what I help you with, to really dig deep and really work that out so that we can move you forward in the right direction. I'll help you to prioritize and also strategize so that you can reach your goals without the overwhelm and burnout. This is the number one thing that I hear from people, is that they have goals or they have dreams, but they're burnt out and they're overwhelmed by all the things they need to do. I'm all about keeping it simple. Let's find the simple strategies to get you one step closer to your goals. But I would love to chat with you. So if this is of interest, apply for the free call with me via the link in the show notes below, or head to my website, jessicawilliamson.com.au, and you will find the link via the one-on-one coaching page. And I look forward to chatting to you soon and seeing a whole bunch of successful women out there. If you have enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe if you didn't already at the start. And please leave a review. I would love to know what you think. So please leave me a review, because these reviews help spread the word and help other people to find the podcast as well. So if you've benefited from it, then share it with your friends, share it with people, and please do leave us a review. I will see you next Thursday with another episode of Couch Chats. Have an amazing week.